All right, we are now live. DaVinci Jeremie, thank you for joining us in the space today, or rather the live stream today. Um, uh, this is amazing. I just to give a quick intro to folks here. This is the Superlative Podcast. My name is Edward Bushi, and yes, every episode we have one guest, a founder, an investor, operator, or someone who's built something or competed at a level most people only read about. The conversation covers their journey, what they discovered along the way, and what most people never get to hear, and where they think their field is going. No edits, no post production, just one sharp conversation, and let's get into it. Today we have DaVinci Jeremie. Uh, DaVinci bought Bitcoin at $1 in 2011, went viral in 2013, begging people to buy at $1 uh, when it was around 13, and is now sitting on what some estimates to be a lot of Bitcoin. But DaVinci, right now, you're building something, and you're working on a lot of things at the same time. Would you like to um, talk about that and introduce yourself, and then we'll come back to those parts later on.
Yeah, well, if for those who don't know, you can find me at DaVinci J15 everywhere, whether it's on Telegram and Instagram, X, wherever. It's DaVinci J15 is my actual account name. I don't use any kind of different names other than that. And if someone else approaches you with a different name that's similar, make sure that you understand that it's a fake account. Now, I'm working on several projects. One is TSATs, which allows people to buy Bitcoin on Solana, right? But in Satoshis, denominated in Satoshis. This is basically Bitcoin backed up with a token on Solana. It is much more secure than using wrapped Bitcoin because I use TBTC, not WBTC, as the backing. And the reason why is because TBTC is not a what's it called, trust me, bro, wrapped Bitcoin, right? Somebody with a wrapped Bitcoin, somebody else is holding it. With TBTC, it's an application that's holding it, a network, a trustless application that's holding the Bitcoins. So that's, that there's no community member. There's no, for example, if you want to convert a WBTC to actual BTC, you have to go to BitGo, deposit the WBTC, and then they'll go, nigga, who are you again?
Oh, yeah. It's permissioned, you're saying, right? Yeah.
Where you got this WBTC, and you're going to have to give us all your data. You're going to have to give us, why you got so much this for whatever reason, right?
Gotcha.
And if they don't like the reason, they're not giving it to you.
Yep. You don't have the power of Bitcoin in other chains. So I want to dig into that, right? And the other things that you're working on, but let's work up to that. I want to start a little before that, right? You started in. I was there at your fireside chat this Monday, right? And you started talking about getting into gold and silver back in the day, right? But because you were looking at something, you noticed something about how the world works back then, right? And what were you actually worried about back then? And who convinced you that the fiat system was worth keeping an eye on?
Well, so if we're talking about way back when, when I first figured out the fiat system was a scam, was back shortly after, what's it called? Jim Cramer came on television and go, they know nothing, they know nothing. That's a famous video. You can find it on and he was screaming about how Ben Bernanke was not going to open the Fed window, right? Because everybody was suffering, all the banks were collapsing.
Oh, yeah.
And this was August of 2007. And I was like, what's wrong with this guy? Let me see what's going on, right? And that's when my eyes started to open. I started looking into it, and I'm realizing this can't the 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 accounting messed, right?
Mm.
Because what I didn't understand is that the banks were creating money out of nothing. I mean,
Yeah. And they were doing it to bail out the industry back then, as
no,
we learned.
because the accounting, the way it works is that if you want to borrow money, they create money out of nothing. Now, of course,
Yes.
you have to back the person who's the person who's paying it back has to they don't get to keep the principal. They just make it disappear. And so what happens is, if you can't pay it back, the bank has to pay it back. And when they have to pay it back, that means they have to sell assets, some other asset, in order to cover those losses. So they wouldn't want to do that, right? Of course, right? And so that's why they were stuck. And I just didn't understand that key concept. It was only when Ron Paul came out and said, our monetary system is unfair. It transfers wealth to the poor and middle class to the rich. I was like, what? No, it doesn't. And then everybody on the panel, right? Because he was doing a presidential run, right? Everybody on the panel agreed with him and then moved on. And I'm like, what? What? And that's when I knew I had to understand what money was, right? And then I've researched what money was. I read the Creature from Jekyll Island, and then I woke up to the truth. I understood what how the bank balance sheets work after that, because I couldn't understand it because I didn't have that context.
Wow. So like in your journey of trying to paint a picture of how the monetary system works, was there a mentor or a writer that that helped you along your journey to understand?
I think Ron Paul is the one who woke me up, and then I read a lot of his stuff, and then I also read G. Edward Griffin's Creatures from Jekyll Island, and then I really got woken up. There was a lot of other people who talk about it and stuff like that, and I would listen to those people attentively, and then I started doing my own videos about it. My first videos were crap. It was about comics. Default, it was nothing. But anyways.
Well, yeah, even Mr. Beast's videos back in the day, right, had very low views, but things changed. And so along that period of time, right, you discovered Bitcoin, right? And you were a software engineer back then too, and you were able to look at the protocol, at the white paper, and then you something convinced you it was real, right? What happened at that moment that the pre Bitcoin or the earlier DaVinci didn't understand back then?
Well, it's not like I didn't understand. It was more of I understood that there was no such thing. Basically, our developers understand that there's no way to solve you couldn't solve the double spend problem. How do you have a digital asset to ensure that no one can copy it? That was considered impossible, right? There was no mathematical standard, no communicational standard that allowed this to exist, right? But Satoshi solved it, and that's the key thing that I saw, right? Once that's solved, right, it guarantees us a system of a digital asset that ensures by math that everything is fair and honest, because you can prove it through the math, right? And so this is where Bitcoin was born. It doesn't matter. Let's pretend the cool thing about Bitcoin is if you were to take all the knowledge of how Bitcoin works and go back 500 years, it'd still be useful then. Why? Because the way it is, it's a communications protocol, right? With math, not a computer program as most people think it is. It can be converted to a computer program, but its design can be used even without computers. This is where Yeah, this is where people talk about the Byzantine general problem,
Yeah.
right? Where the general trying to basically, organize his troops and ensure that they all attack at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, with this particular methodology, he could do that, right? He can do that, and you can do a lot more.
That's really insightful, right? That you're describing Bitcoin not as a technology, but it's basically a protocol that if you that could, if there was enough like know-how, be applied like without computers. It just so happens that computers help make it more
Easier, just
scalable.
make
Yeah,
it easier.
easier. Yeah, yeah, true, true. So yeah, so then like you dived into it, right? You learned that with Bitcoin you could essentially build generational wealth with it, but it wasn't an easy journey, right? And it's very cyclical, right? So in 2017 you told followers to book profits at the peak, right? That call was right. But the harder question is, how do you hold conviction when you're telling people to sell and the price is still going up, right?
I don't. I mean, I tell people not to get in at that point, right? I said, like, we're like in the territory where things could go very south very fast, right?
Yeah.
But overall,
when it's very high, yeah.
Yeah, but overall, right? Holding on to Bitcoin is like saving, right? Dollars that can create. Like people are used to saving dollars, right? Saving their local currency. And you just need to switch that mentality to saving Bitcoin. And the reason why you feel like, no, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to, I'm going to be buying less with my Bitcoin because the price goes down and the value goes down. Yeah, but you're not buying it now. So there's a problem that people just don't seem to understand. And if you're thinking about buying something now, that's the problem. That is your key problem. If you're always looking at what you can buy now, well, guess what? You are creating a desire that's going to break, and you'll sell your Bitcoin to buy whatever nonsense you want, and then you're going to lose out on all the compounding, right? All the growth that's coming in Bitcoin. Whether you do it because, hey, you know what, the price is moving up slowly and steadily, or you're doing it because the price is going up and down. Either way, we're going to lose on the compounding, and this is why the wealthy stay wealthy and the poor stay poor, because they have a poor mentality, poor side mentality. And what is that? So, for example, a lot of people come to me and say, "Hey, I want to live like on the yachts and stuff like that," and then blah blah blah. That is not the goal, right? This is nice to have, and you'll get bored of that really, really fast.
I can believe you coming from you, but yes. Yeah,
really fast. That gets boring fast, right? And then you realize that that's not the goal. And once you do, right, you're left wondering what is the goal, right? And so the goal is basically to increase your wealth so that you can actually build something that's of value, something that lasts, something that other people can use and for like your future offspring or your future family, and something that can build and last. That's what you want to do, because honestly, if you spend all your money and die the next day, right, no one's going to remember your name. There's not going to be any kind of like value passed on. So focus on producing value, because when you do that, the only way to produce value is to help somebody else. Period.
Yeah.
Right? You're helping by helping somebody else and saving that value. Now that you've got a value system, a system of wealth to store the value, you don't have to worry about it being lost through time. In our current financial system, let's say you have a product that you invent and it's new and you can charge a lot of money. Eventually, people will, start undercutting you, but that's what happens first. So you're making a lot of money, but you're making all these dollars, and you're saving these dollars, and these dollars are losing at, let's say minimum 10%, because that's what it really is, not the 3%, not the 4%, not
Really?
the
It's
5.
10% in
Yes, it is.
inflation?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
You could get over to shadowstats.com and it explains it, right?
Okay.
It's 10%. And all you have to do is ignore any kind of monetary what prices inflation, and just look at how much money supply is increasing, and it's increasing by 10% on an annualized basis, right? So that's all that matters, right? How much money is being created, not what the prices say, because prices can be managed.
Yeah.
Right. So if you ignore prices and look at the increase in money supply, that's the issue. That is the real inflation, not prices.
Gotcha.
And so
Not
now
the
you're able to
money being
save your
printed.
wealth in something that actually that's durable. And when you do that, what happens is you're not willing to trade that durable asset for a good that's going to break in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So our future is coming where we're going to see high quality products being produced like we did back in the 50s and 60s, because we were on gold.
Mm. Okay, that's a very fascinating vision of the future, right? With this underlying economic system, it could unlock some new things to surface, right? So look, I want to get back a little bit to like where we started, right? You chatted about having Bitcoin be available at least on Solana. There's been experiments with wrapped Bitcoin, but you don't think it's as democratic as Bitcoin should be, right? What have you learned about Bitcoin that like you think putting it and making it available somewhere else is helpful? What did you learn there?
Okay, well, I learned that it's still a process to get people to get involved with something that's different, right? Even though I got a name recognition, right, and it is a challenge, but it's just something that I'll just get through and figure it out, because I think people will have more value if they use satoshis, because then they could see their wealth growing, they could see large numbers, because everybody doesn't like, a lot of people, they're only interested in these meme coins because they want to see like that their $2 gets them a whole lot. So $2 right now of satoshis gets you like approximately 2,600 satoshis, right? $2.
Mm.
So people like gravitate to that, and that's what I've noticed.
So are you planning on having this proxy Bitcoin or coin on other chains as well? Is that what you're planning on doing? Like why
Yeah,
why
I
do you pick
mean,
Solana?
I could do that. It's just
Mm.
that Solana's cheap, right? So what's the cost of transferring to buy $1 worth of satoshis on Solana? It's negligible, the transaction fees. Whilst if you did that on Ethereum, it's crazy. It's more than it can be, more than what you invest, right? So in some cases, right?
Yeah.
So that's the difference, right? And so yeah, there are other chains that are cheap too, but Solana has the most number of people that are looking for the quick fix, and that's why I put it there. So that, hey, if you want to learn to stop chasing for the quick fix, and you want to get the asset that's going to work,
Yeah.
there it is. TSATS is right there on Solana, on the chain that most of the kids are playing with.
So I want to get into like what you learned about people, right? Because I'd like to know what's the thing that the mainstream crypto market, and talking about the altcoin traders, the NFT people, the DeFi people, they're what do you think they're getting completely wrong right now? when it comes to like operating in crypto?
What I think who's getting wrong right now?
The folks doing altcoin trading, the
Oh,
NFT traders, the DeFi people, what are they missing out on?
well, I think they're not realizing that this is a full-time job, right? Yes, you can make a lot of money on any job that you do, right? But it's still work, right? And Bitcoin is not your job. It is it's a means of storing your labor, right?
Hmm.
And that's the disconnect there. So a lot of people think, well, I miss Bitcoin because I want to just have lots of dollars, and that's the wrong mentality, right? To have it's more of, hey, I want Bitcoin because I want to store my wealth for the future. And then when you do that, right, don't look at it as, okay, I can buy a super jet or super yacht or stupid nonsense, right? Um,
They're looking for the quick fix, like you said.
yeah. Instead, look at it as, oh, I am now sovereign. I'm protected. I can say, you know what? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do take out the garbage, and pick up your garbage. I don't want to work at a hotel and clean your bed. I don't want to do that. You now have optionality,
Hmm.
not the ability to buy a stupid car that you're never going to use.
Gotcha. Or a boat that you're never gonna like
Mm-hmm.
drive around. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You have optionality, the ability to choose your life path.
Mm.
That's what you're paying for. That's what you're saving for.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, it's a very disciplined mentality that it takes a while to like really like develop, right? And
Mhm.
I heard from the fireside chat this Monday that you are actually also developing a school, and you're having some. It's almost like a mastermind of sorts. Like, do
Yeah,
you want
exactly.
to talk about that? It
Yeah, my
DaVinci
school,
Codes.
there's not a lot of people there, but if you head
Mm,
over to DaVinciJ15.com, right,
mhm.
you can join the school, Blueprint for Bitcoin. And it's basically, anybody who wants to learn more about Bitcoin, I'm teaching people the stuff that I've learned, and I'm learning new stuff as well by teaching you guys. So I'm enjoying that. If you want to join, that's great. If you don't, it's okay. I'm going to continue educating not only the people who are interested in being educated, but also myself.
Mm,
And that's it.
yeah. So, like what I heard, of at least at the tip of the iceberg from that fireside chat is like you started in Toronto, which is amazing,
Mhm.
and then you traveled to moved to Chile during COVID, and then you migrated to Dubai, right? So you're a globetrotter of sorts, right?
Mhm.
Um, what does the next 12 months look like for you? I know you're here for a bit, right? And then what's the next chapter for DaVinci?
Well, I'm trying to reduce like all these things that people are asking me to come to. Like for example, I was supposed to head next to Vegas, and I realized this is not my direction.
Hmm.
This is not where I want to go. Right? This is what I'm talking about optionality. Right?
Yeah.
And when I realized that, I'm like, then
The
why am
ability
I
to say
going?
no.
Why am I going?
Yeah.
Right? Why am I doing this? To get to give people to have people take pictures of me for people to what for what? The people have me over for their parties or something like that, so they can say that I'm there. No, I'm no no I'm not going.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to do that anymore. I used to do that. Right? I'm not doing it anymore. I'm doing something different. I'm going to focus on things that are important to me, and that's not one of them.
Hmm. So like what is it that you're we oh yeah, we have 25 minutes left, but like I just want to ask like two last questions, right?
Mhm.
So like what is it about right now? I know keeping playing the accumulation game, right? Letting compounding work is one of your um, principles. But as someone who's diligently following that journey, right? Uh, has anything changed about like what you value in life?
I mean, yeah, I pretty much covered that, right? You know what I mean? Over time, you realize, like, I mean, really, it was always the case. It's just that, I fell with my friends, my new friends who always wanted to do this and stuff like, and it's all these cool things, like going on a private jet, doing all that kind of stuff, buying it, like cars. It's fun, right? Don't get me wrong, it's fun and all, right? And I get it, right? I understand why they do it and why they buy all these crazy things. It's fun, right? And it's okay, right? If you want to do that, I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but you'll realize quickly that is that who you are, right? And you have to really figure out, do some soul searching and figure that out. And if that's who you are, that's who you are, and that's okay, right? Just as long as you make sure that it's not you are happy, because the worst thing to do is to do all these things and realize that you're not happy, right? Right. That's the key thing. So that's what you are looking for. And here's the thing: you can get that. You could have that feeling right now without a bunch of Bitcoin. You can actually get that feeling. Now, by the way, I have to go in about 3 minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's wrap this up in the next 3 minutes, right?
Of course. So yeah, like I wanted to ask about how building generational wealth, right? Like affected you, and like how it compared to like the earlier version of you, like how you thought how it worked, right? So it felt like you really covered some really insightful stuff where you figure out like what you need to prioritize. It has to be different, and you learned that along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I for the folks that want to reach out to you and learn more about your school, and maybe even want to partner with your venture in making Bitcoin available in Solana, how can they reach you?
Well, right there, if you go to DaVinciJ15.com, right? That's DaVinciJ15.com. You find all of my contacts, everything there is on that one page, right? School, everything. Even if you want to if you want to join, get on my calendar, it's all there as well. So
Perfect. Yeah. All right. So, well, I know you're a busy guy. So, DaVinci, I really appreciate you having taking the time to join us today. And yeah, like the folks from here in Toronto and in Europe and West Africa watching this, right, will really benefit from your words of wisdom, and dig in more. So, thank you for joining us, and for the rest of the crowd who stuck around, right? Search DaVinci on Twitter, and yeah, we'll take it from there.
mm-hmm. Yeah, DaVinciJ15 is how you find me on Twitter or wherever. All right, thank you.
Okay, have a good one.
I know. Alrighty.
Yeah.